communication.
Yeah.
Very good point. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about, you mentioned to me a little bit before, because we were talking, of course, about this, manners in communication.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So at one of the things, of course, is, as I mentioned earlier, when I was growing up, you had person-to-person communication, or phone-on-the-wall communication. That was it. Maybe if you're one of these radio geeks, you'd have a two-way radio or something like that, right? But mostly it was that sort of thing. It did not exist to have so many distractions. Everyone carries a phone around with them now.
Yeah.
Everyone therefore has this terminal that they can be contacted through at any time. So you're communicating with someone, and it's even funny. What did I say to you before we started the webinar today?
It's like, let's put the phone up because I don't want anybody to be contacting you at last minute.
Yeah. But it's funny. You're like, so it's almost like when you're having communication with people these days, you should. It doesn't happen because it would make life actually that next level of complexity.
Mm-hmm.
But when you initiate some sort of transaction or communication, it's like, okay, do you want to just put your phone down for the moment because we're going to have a meeting about this proposal?
Yeah.
Do you have any important calls that are going to come up when you're about to, when we're going to sit and discuss this? Because I need your undivided attention.
Completely undivided. I need you here.
Yeah. So what have you experienced in the manners, let's say, in communication?
Oh man, it's you get a lot of things that break down. You have this person who has all of their attention stuck on whether it be social media or whatever.
Yeah.
And they have to check it every so often.
Yeah.
And they bring it up all the time. And you're trying to enjoy time where talk to the person and they're just let's take a picture of this and post it and share it everywhere. It's like, can you not just have a moment where you're here? Because it seems like your attention is literally just in cyberspace right now. It's this is where you are. I need you to be here.
Yeah.
Because it's making me feel like you're more so in love with your phone and the people that are going to be seeing this, but you're not really invested in what's happening here.
Yeah.
And that would be a really big turnoff for anybody who's trying to work with this person. I want to work with you. If I see right now, and we're just meeting, and you're this much into the cyber world, I don't think that would be really a good idea for me to be doing this. Or you're always checking.
Totally.
For whatever reason. Sometimes you just pull out the phone and just pull it just for the heck of it.
Yeah, what's the time again? I've got another meeting in 30 minutes. Let me just check the time again. And it's not as if you're checking the phone sometimes, even for more communication. You just want to see what the time is or glance at it or, whatever it might be. Or, did I feel my phone vibrate? That's one of the ones, right? When you keep the phone in your same pocket for so long, and you kind of have these little was that my phone? Let me check it.
You feel your thigh vibrate.
Yeah, you feel something vibrating.
And it might not even be in your pocket. You're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
That just vibrated.
I'm sure that's something funny going on there, maybe with all sorts of radio frequencies. But anyway, we won't go there. So I wanted to say two things. With the manners in communication, I know that if I've been in a situation where I've got half an hour only with a person because I don't need to go to another meeting, and already I've met them at the front door, they've come in, and we've sat down, and they've looked at their phone 4 times. I'm going to say to that person, cool, are you expecting any important phone calls? I'll actually just bring it up and say, hey, do you have something else important that's happening right now that you'll need to? And if they say, no, I'm not expecting anything, I say, good, let's just put that on silent so we can get through this fast. And I will get easily agreement with that. Or then they'll actually cough up the real thing. Actually, I am waiting on a phone call. That's totally cool. So just let me know if you need to check that, because at least then I know that person they're trying to do 2 things at once.
Yeah.
I prefer to have them put it aside if they're not looking at it, because that way it can go faster. You can have undivided attention rather than being distracted, which is always better.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to say is that today I was in messaging someone in between running some errands in the car. And I really feel for anyone that is trying to do communication over email, or especially with the WhatsApp messages or anything like that, with messaging, which has messages fire back and forth like one sentence. Because I was messaging someone, and they messaged me, and I messaged someone, and then I had to leave. So I put the phone down.
Yeah.
And next thing I'm driving along, and all of a sudden, bzz, 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 bzz. And then when I got to my next destination, I picked it up. And of course, that person thinks I'm just being rude.
Yeah.
They're like, ask me a question. And of course, I didn't answer. Question mark, nudge, question mark, nudge. Happened to be my wife. It's a different story, right? But it's funny, because when you're carrying your phone, people expect you to be there.
Yeah.
And what I tried to do at one stage is that, you can put your status notification.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to, when I was going to lunch, update my status. I'm at lunch, if I was going to do something in a meeting or something like that, so that I would, if someone did message me, they would go, he's not messaging me straight back, that's because status notification, he's doing blah. But that's ridiculous. Like, the extra effort to just have that work in that way was so complex. And you can't update everyone every moment of the day, because you might have, like you said, you're on people with communication, text message, email, phone, you've got all sorts of appointments. You can't let everyone know what you're doing at every time of the day, right?
Yeah.
It gets complex to try and keep your manners in with everyone, that upsets can be created or breaks in communication when you're trying to have one communication and yet you've got 10 other people potentially wanting to get in touch with you,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be email or anything else. Anyway, it's complex, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's go to some of the... Go, you wanted to say something?
There's a really interesting, it just popped up.
Yeah.
Like, with texting,
Mm-hmm.
like, some people are a lot slower than others with their like, they can have a lag in communication.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they can answer one question, and then it's like 3 questions get answered, or 3 different things come up.
Yeah.
And then it takes them a while to, like, get to the first thing, and then,
Yeah.
like, 2 things, they answer one, and 2 more things come up because of the answer, then they're still stuck on,
Yeah.
the 2 things that they didn't answer. They have these 2 things, and they're just kind of like, I
Yes.
don't understand. Like, I
Yes.
don't know what to do.
Have you had communications with people, right, that they press send after every sentence or portion of something? They're like, do you want to go out this evening? Send. I'd like to go to a movie. Send. What about we watch Mission Impossible 4? Send. Or what about send? Another movie. Send. And you're getting all these messages through, and they're still typing.
It's like a volley.
Yeah, it's like, should I wait until they finish typing completely, or should I just go and type in the thing? It really does get quite complex. I'm probably blowing it out of proportion, but these are definite frustrations, right?
You're not blowing that out of proportion. That happens a lot.
So they hit you with all these things, and you're about to reply, and then they send you a question mark nudge because you haven't answered yet.
I'm like, look, I write I write sentences in one text.
A complete communication.
Like, oh yeah, I would like to do blah blah. Maybe this, the way this, kind of like that. Send, and it's like, but then they like break apart my text in individual text. I'm like, no, like, stop doing, don't do that.
Right.
It's like I text like I communicate.
Yeah.
Basically, like.
And that's smart. And again, the communication formula, a formula being, so you have a formula or a recipe for a cake. To make a cake, you need eggs, milk, flour, sugar, vanilla essence, whatever it might be. Those things are the recipe that makes a cake. So L. Ron Hubbard delineated the factors or the ingredients in the formula that makes communication. And all of those things that you just mentioned, in terms of the factors of velocity, the factors of attention, having a complete thought, like you have a complete thought that you want me to duplicate and get the same idea in my mind in order to answer to it. If it comes across in starts and stops and one thing, and then I think I'm answering that question, and then another bit comes that clarifies that further, they're parts of the formula of communication that when you know it, you can actually put that together more completely to have a proper communication.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, that's about communication, and again, more information in that book, Scientology Fundamentals of Thought. But I wanted to talk about 2 other things. L. Ron Hubbard has found this special relationship between 3 things: communication, affinity, and reality. And these 3 things form this triangle called the ARC triangle.
Yeah.
Affinity, reality, communication. So we've spoken about communication, and definitely in other webinars we've spoken on the different factors and that sort of thing. But affinity and reality, if you raise them, they improve your communication.
Yeah.
So, in regard to what did we talk about? Texting, text messages, email, phone, and then perhaps video calls. If we look at this factor of affinity, the degree of likeness, the how much you feel for someone, what sort of degree of whether you like them in your space to be close to you, whether you want them further away from you, you have less affinity for them.
Yeah.
What's your idea or experience of how putting affinity into text can be helpful?
My experience with bidding affinity into text, it's quite interesting because sometimes some things could get a bit like misconstrued, maybe like ideas can be gotten across kind of wrong. I know if there's someone that I know that I've met before, they kind of know my facial expressions and they know how excited I am just about life in general. So I would send them like big starry eyes and like big smiles because like that's what I do. Like that's me. But like if it's somebody that I've never met before, they really don't know me. I kind of keep it like very like simple. Like I don't send like smiley faces and stuff because I don't want them to like think like, oh, is he like this or
what does he mean by that?
Like,
yeah.
Is he making a pass at me? I'm
Yeah.
like no, that's not what that was. Like
Yeah.
I'm just very friendly and just overly excited.
Yeah.
So like it's awesome if I know the person because if they send me something like I know them and I can send it back to them and it's just like it's fine. But if it's like I don't know the person very well, and then let's say they send me like a winky face and like.
You're like, what does
I'm
that
like,
winky mean?
Yo, like, okay, like, the only time I see that is when it's like, oh, all right, thank you. I'm like, oh, wait, no, it's not that kind of relationship. Like, let's just keep it, like, supervisor, student. Let's just keep that.
Right. It is funny when you look at it that way, the development of emojis. And I think that this proves how related to communication these other two things are, affinity and reality, right? Because when people started just using text, what was it that very naturally came out as a next level? An emotion.
Yeah.
So what is an emoji? An emoji came from, colon, round bracket, smiley face at the end of a text because it was so commonplace that you would read a text message and go, is this person angry with me or are they happy enough with that decision? You didn't know.
Yeah.
So if you put colon, close parentheses, then you'd be like, oh, they're happy. So that aspect of affinity, putting into text, I think emojis are great.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with them. Though there are times where I find that some people don't know what emojis mean, which brings in this factor of not understanding a symbol.
Yeah.
Is that some people think that, and actually I don't know them all myself, I have to confess. First time someone sent me a green love heart, I wasn't entirely sure.
A green heart?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I actually don't know. But
I know purple hearts, but...
yeah, but that's probably my point, is that these different emojis, they have different meanings to convey that affinity part of that triangle, that emotion. So anyway, knowing and understanding the emoticons, the emojis, and how that helps you to put emotion into, well, this is a more social sort of representation of a relationship than anything, I think that's very helpful. Yeah, it doesn't occur so much in business. You don't want to send across a legal contract and then at the end of it send across a smiley face with love heart eyes or something like that.
Thumbs up emoji,
Two thumbs up, or a fist bump at the end of a legal contract or something. Who knows? Okay, so that's the affinity part. Now, what about affinity over phone? Adding that into it, what is your experience then?
I actually think that affinity over phone, unless you're video calling, but affinity over like in an actual talk, you're just talking, it's tough unless you just say the things. Oh, I'm really interested in the thing that you were speaking about, such and such. Interest is emotional level.
Yeah.
Like, you can be very interested in something. You can be mildly interested. You can be not really interested. But, you stating what it is, because some people don't register both voice tones. You can be yelling at somebody and they'll kind of be like, oh, like, are you okay? Like, no, I'm upset. Like, I'm yelling right now. It's like, yeah, but I don't my mom yells all the time, and she's not upset.
Yeah.
She just yells. That's just her. So not my mom, but their mom.
That sort of thing, right?
But like, it's just so unless you're actually stating what it is that you're feeling, the person might miss it, and you're just kind of like, okay, like I don't know what to tell you. Like, hey, I'm kind of sad about this thing that happened a couple days ago, and I just wanted to talk to you about it. Like, I really thought that we were going to hit this deal, but we didn't hit the deal. So now I'm just kind of like, I'm at a loss with this, and I don't know what to do. Like, how can we, recoup this? So I feel like on the phone, you really have to state what it is that you're feeling.
Yeah.
State the affinity level that you have at the moment.
Yeah. Especially if you don't know the person.
Especially if you don't know the person. Like, it's like, look, I'm trying to help you with this. It was like, yo, I'm very confused. I'm kind of upset right now. I'm kind of angry. It's like, all right, I got that. Like, I want to help you get to a point where you're not upset. Okay? And, I'm not angry because you're angry. I'm very wanting to help you. Like, I'm very interested in you not being angry. They're like, oh, like, okay, well, let's see what we can do to work it out.
Good use of words there. Yeah. Again, you reminded me of something about how someone that has studied L. Ron Hubbard and knows what's called the emotional tone scale.
Yeah.
If you know that emotional tone scale and how it works and how people can go through different emotions, the order of emotions from lower negative emotions and how they ascend through, let's say, brighter, happier, more positive levels. The way L. Ron Hubbard discovered that is unbelievable, and how workable that is. But if you don't know the emotional tone scale, you can meet someone, and I know I've had this before, and you've met someone, and you give them good news on it's a business deal, and they're like, oh, that's amazing, great. And you're like, you're not excited about it. Is there a problem? Oh, no, it's actually really good. I'm very, very happy. I'm like over the moon, ecstatic. And if you don't know that person, and if you don't know how the tone scale works, and you don't understand that people can get stuck in a certain emotional level, that person, if you've met them before, you're like, oh, that person is actually stuck at contentment, conservatism. They're not going to get excited, even though they are in their mind going, wow, that's fantastic, but they're not going to express it emotionally. So anyway, just by your explanation there, again, more of the discoveries of L. Ron Hubbard and how that enhances your communication on affinity, by understanding of affinity, the different emotional levels, I think that's also priceless. So your application there in phone calls is perfect example of understanding of that.
Even dealing with the emotional tone scale, like, if someone's at a specific tone level, knowing the emotional tone scale will let you know how you should actually communicate to that person.
Right.
Like, if somebody's really angry, I'm a very enthusiastic person. Like, I'm very happy most of the time. If I see that somebody's angry, and I'm communicating to them in a very enthusiastic manner, I'm just gonna piss them off even more.
That's right.
So I know I need to come down a bit.
That's right.
So it's real to them.
Yeah.
Like, my emotion is very real to them. It's like, okay, cool. From there, they can come up. And then I can push them up to where they could be.
Exactly.
And I can jump back to me being enthusiastic.
Again, another one of those tools. So that's perfect application. Okay, next point. So we looked at affinity and how that could be used. What about reality? Reality is in essence agreement. So you and I both see that there's a microphone there.
Yep.
It's real. It is in our reality, and therefore we agree that it's a microphone.
Yeah.
We could both look at this flower, and I might say that is a gerbera, and you might say that it is a
Dandelion.
A dandelion. I don't know what it actually is, right? This is my poor knowledge of flowers. We can both agree that it's a flower, and that it is there, but I don't know anything about flowers. Do you know that much about flowers?
Not the ones here in Ireland.
Right. So I know little, you know here. We can have reality and agreement that it's a flower, but as far as what type of flower, neither of us know.
No, we wouldn't have much reality on that.
Right. But if you've seen something like that in America and you call it a sunflower and I call it a massive gerbera, I don't know what type that would be, and I say, no, it's a gerbera, and you say, no, it's a dandelion, then we have a break in reality, a different reality. And the only way that we can come and meet together and share a common reality is through communication.
Yeah.
So you mentioned before about trying to convey to someone through words your emotion and something, right? By explaining to them how you feel, saying, I actually am really wanting to help you. I'm not angry with you at all. By using words, you can bring about a reality. So on that point in reality, let's go back to our text type communications.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best approach that you would find in improving the reality in a communication when it's just that text communication?
See, the thing is that I'll start off just by stating who I am
Mm-hmm.
and what my title is
Mm-hmm.
as far as me communicating with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm going to text the student, I'm going to text them, hey, it's Devontae, your course supervisor. I just want to let you know I'm really excited about working with you so that you can really get the understanding and the knowledge that's inside this course that you're doing. And from there, they have a very, the reality is they just signed up for this course.
Mm-hmm.
They have help now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, okay, like, yes, like this person's going to help me get through this course.
It's a great introduction. It also conveys the purpose of your communication with them.
Yeah. And they don't want to start the course and not do it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get the knowledge. They want to complete it. So now we have a very common reality. I want them to complete it. They want to complete it. All right, let's work toward this goal. Now let's say in the future, things are happening, life's getting busy. They go past some words that they don't fully understand. And like now it's like, hey, what's happening? Haven't heard from you for a while on your course. Like, what's going on? And the reality is there. Like, hey, I'm communicating to you because I haven't heard from you in a while. Like, what's going on? Like, when was the last time you were doing really well? Because that time where they were doing really well is going to be very real for them. So I'm going to communicate a time that's real for them. It's like, great. So we need to go to the point where stop doing well, and we need to find what it is that was not fully understood.
That's awesome.
But that's the reality there. Like, I'm using the reality that I know and getting them. They may not know anything about misunderstood words, but I'm communicating my reality in a way where it can be understood and not me just saying, hey, you have misunderstood words.
I have to pull you up on one thing there, because that is absolutely brilliant. Because here's one thing. L. Ron Hubbard writes, and it's absolutely proven true in life, is that a being is basically good. And the urge to survive is the lowest common denominator of existence. So all aspects of life, all facets of life, a person is attempting to survive. And if they're surviving well, then that's good. If they're surviving poorly, then they're progressing more and more towards death, right? So when you acknowledge someone, you validate them, or you make them right, they have more affinity for you. Because they think, in all their actions in life, doesn't matter what they're doing, most of the time, if they've done it, they're going to justify to themselves and say, well, I was trying to survive, so therefore that was a right action, even if they made a mistake. So when someone's gotten paused, and of course you're an extension course supervisor, so you help people by correspondence get through a course, right? So when someone's progressing on a course and they have some mistake or something occurs and they go off course, right? Rather than saying, you're confused, you didn't understand something, which is a negative slant, they're not going to agree with you. They're going to say, I'm right. I'm surviving the best I can. What is happening right now is a result of me wanting to survive, and I'm right. So rather than actually taking up the problem, you go back, and what you said is, when you were last doing well, that last lesson that you did that was really good, that was great. You were doing good. So you're actually validating their rightness, their desire to learn, the fact that they're wanting to survive better and do better in life. You validate that and take that point of reality rather than trying to establish a reality of, you were confused, because they're not going to admit to wanting to being confused. I mean, they might, but it's far safer to go for that point that is real to them from a positive viewpoint, because they're helping to survive.
And then even if you try that number, like, you're confused, it's like, no, I'm not confused. This book is confusing. Like, they'll put it off on something else. Like,
yes. And again, this is the mechanics of the mind, understanding how the mind works. When you've got all of these principles of the lowest common denominator of, the principle of that urge to survive is the lowest common denominator, urge to survive. and you've got man is basically good and he's trying to survive and he can hit things. All of these mechanics of how the mind works are absolutely priceless when you're trying to communicate with someone in a better way.
Like big time.
Cool. Okay, so anything else on reality? Improving reality in these other
Text.
modes. So that was text, right? So now we move on to maybe voice. And then in person.
That was the voice as well. So we did
Okay.
the expressing
Yes.
how like what I feel, how this is.
Mm-hmm.
Video chat is there, like you can see it. And it's like if the person's excited, like it's there. Like you see that the emotion that's there, you see the reality that's there, and you guys are communicating on the same subject. Like it's almost not as instant because you're not physically there. Like I had a video call a few days ago, and it is different. Because when you're with someone, like you it's just something about it, like just sitting with someone, like and being there with the person, sharing that space, like both the affinity starts flowing, and because it's the energy, like affinity is emotion is like energy.
They
So
can't
you feel it.
escape the expression.
Yeah.
They're there. They have to express something, unless of course they're completely trained to be robotic and just give phrases back like a computer assistant or something like that. Yeah, when you're in the person's space, it's inescapable. They emanate their emotion. They emanate their agreement or disagreement with something. It's there. You can see it visually. So I think that is very valid. Okay. Anything else? We did touch on this. Therefore, the points of affinity, reality, communication. So in terms of building business relationships or improving the relationship, there's this other point of beingness. I know you'd mentioned that you wanted to say something about that.
Yeah, so, granting someone beingness, which is like you're granting them the position that they have or life itself. Like you're actually making this person come alive. And it may seem like something that's so simple, like you just speaking to someone saying, hey, giving eye contact. Now, in certain countries, I know that's not really a thing. You're not supposed to make eye contact. But most times, most places that I know of, eye contact is not something that's frowned upon.
Right.
So, you really extending out life to this person. Any person that you meet. Like if I go inside of a company or if I go inside of a place that I'm about to meet someone, I'm not just going just for that person. Like if I walk past somebody, I'm going to look them in the eye. And which is kind of, even nowadays more so, people are very much in a fear-like state. They don't make eye contact like they normally would. And like I've seen people who are just kind of like darted like forward and they just look straight forward. You walk past them, I'm the guy that like looks at you, like I'm like staring at you,
yeah.
So like you're walking past, I'm like looking at you, and then like you're just like beaming straight forward. And I'm like, okay, cool, like great. But I'm like, I see that this person is there. But just granting someone the beingness of being alive, like being there, like making them important,
acknowledging that they are there and their presence is either helpful, appreciated, or acceptable.
And not showing, because a lot of people at times when they speak, they give a lot of attention to themselves. So it's as if they're speaking about themselves to the other person in a way where it's like, you are interested in me, so I'm going to tell you everything about me. And I'm not really interested in you because I'm interested in me. So they're very interesting people.
Right.
I don't like being interesting is not the thing that you want to be, especially if you're trying to do business with someone else. You want to be interested. You want to make that person important. It was like, look, I want you to tell me about you, your company. What does it stand for? Like, I really want to know because there are certain things that I've seen and I really like them. Like, I really like how, 2 years ago your company took a stand up against this thing that was going on in the world, and you said, no, we're not going to be a part of that, even though all other companies were like jumping for it. Like, no, we have a set of morals and values, and we have integrity, and we're not going to, go about doing these types of things. Like, I'm interested in that sort of stuff that your company stands for. That alone would just blow your ARC regarding that person, just blow it out the roof.
Right. Yeah. And what you were saying there reminded me of another scenario, is that there are so many, like in our mind, we contain records of people, types of people, attitudes that people have had towards us from the past, and we kind of carry them with us,
Yeah.
right? And then when we meet someone, they're a brand new person, right? But in actual fact, they're not in your mind. You're kind of doing the like, this person is like this other guy, this other guy, this other guy, this other guy, this other guy. And all of a sudden, those impressions that they have of those other people are projected onto you. I remember very early on, before I started losing my hair, in Australia, my like final year of high school, first year of university in the summer, friends and I just decided we'd shave our head, right? And
That's where it started?
Right. No, actually, I was just preparing mentally, training myself for how it would be like, right? But the movie Romper Stomper with Russell Crowe about the neo-Nazi group that would go and, thugs and go and beat up people, it was only out some period of time before. Anyway, it was kind of thing fresh in people's minds in Australia, right? So, of course, like, no one shaved their head back then. It was not a thing to do. So I would go into places, and it was the first time that I experienced, let's say, being discriminated against or having some sort of prejudice against me, because I'd walk into a bank, I'd walk into a simple little, we call them a milk bar, like a convenience store in Australia, and people would look at me. And they would continue to watch me going through the aisles and that sort of thing because I had a shaved head. So, absolutely, today more than ever, we're becoming... the consciousness of bias and that sort of thing is coming more and more and more to the surface, right? Check your prejudices for what you're dealing with this person. The way the person communicates, get as much reality across as you can. Exchange reality with that person so you really find out about that person, because how they look is not the same as all these other people. There might be coincidences, but they're not, and you really have to take care. And I think the best way to avoid that is exchange reality. Is that the more that you get to know a person, the more you understand the differences and the similarities, the differences from past people and the similarities of what you have with that person. And the more similarities that you discover, the more reality that you share, the better the communication is, basically across the board.
Which brings into another point in which, when you know about the mind, and you know how the mind works, like you know that the reactive mind thinks in terms of anything equals anything equals anything. All things are just there, identification. But you, the analytical mind, operates in differences. Oh, well, this is different from this. This apple is different from this other apple that had a worm in it that made me sick. No, but this apple is a brand new apple. It's not the same apple.
Yeah, that's right.
You're gonna eat that apple,
Exactly.
It's quite interesting. Like, you can tie these things in with it, especially when it comes to communication. Like, knowing how the mind works and knowing why things are the way they are. Like, for instance, the people who identify other people with people from their past. Like a simple question of like asking like, hey, do I remind you of anyone? And then the person gets like this picture that kind of flies up to their face. You're like, oh yeah, you kind of remind me of my ex that kind of broke my heart and made life really complicated for me. It's like, hey, great, thank you for letting me know that.
Right, airing that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get it off and they notice, oh, well, you're not that person. So I don't have to treat you or like leave this big guard up because you're there.
God. There are so many different things that we could talk about. We could probably go for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Communication is, L. Ron Hubbard had termed it, the thing that solves everything, the universal solvent. So with communication, because it can solve everything, there are so many aspects and parts of life that are related to it. So, anyway, we're going to have to leave it there, even though we could go a little bit further. I really want to express to everyone that's watching that this book, Scientology, The Fundamentals of Thought, covers the principles of communication, especially this affinity reality communication triangle. It looks over many of the other basic principles in Scientology, and when you look at how they apply to life, kind of as our discussion basically went over, the relationship of all of these points to life is so applicable So pick yourself up a copy. It's well worth your time to read over and look at how that could apply to your life. Well, that's it for today. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, a man is only as alive as he can communicate. So learn it.
Fantastic. Thanks once again. That's all from us today. Sinead.